In this session, we are going to put an image on our web page, and we'll start by creating an image folder, and then we will download an image, and then create an image element with a relative URL inside of it, a relative reference to show the image. And if you have been following along with the previous videos, I have collapsed my body because I'm so exhausted, just to make it easier to find things. And so I'm going to go to, well, you know what I want to do first? The header. This is important information. It's like, I'm getting tired. This is about the moon. We've developed this. We have a direction now. So let's call this say, let's swim to the moon. That's a good title for this. I feel better now. I'm going to hit Control S or Command S for Mac to save that. And let's go to the article. And maybe we want to start off our article with an image. So right before the headline, you have the big article to draw attention, and then they can read the heading level 1. So I will tab in. And to get an image, what I think I will do is, or at least I should say, to get the code, I'll go to W3 schools and search for IMG. IMG, it's an IMG tag. In my goodness. And I will copy what they have there. And then I will shrink this down a little bit, minimize, and then just paste that. I'll tab in, paste that in my article, and then I will replace the information that is within quotation marks. But before we do that, we need to get set up and we need to get an image. So I'm going over to the upper left part of the page here where it says Chevy Site 1. That is my root folder, and I want to create a folder that holds my images. So I'm going to right click, or if you don't have a right click button on a Mac, it's Control click and create new folder. And the name of this folder, all lowercase, images. Images, people, it's called images. And I like to create it within Komodo, that way the Komodo tracking can kind of keep track. Let's say that we now have a new folder in here, so this belongs in this page for whatever Komodo happens to be thinking about. Now, let's go get that image. Are you ready? Go get it. We're going to be go-getters. I'm going to go to my browser, and for this I have logged into our course learning platform, and under week 6, if this is still here, doesn't matter, might be different when you actually watch this. And I have an image, so I'm going to click on that, and that is not the image I want. That's a big image. This one by my friend Ben Wilson. He took a picture of the moon, quite spectacular. And to download an image from the internet like this, I can right click on it and just say save image as. And then I need to figure out where to put it. I want to put it in that images folder. So I'm going to go to my documents folder. This is our course, BC 473M, and I have a site for websites, Chevy Site 1. And look, there's the images folder we made. I'm going to put it right in there and say save. Let's see whether it's here. In Komodo, I go up into my site and I click on a little arrow. There it is. It's moon-Ben Wilson. Notice I've named it no capital letters, no spaces, no strange characters. This is important because if I have, say, a capital M and I forget to write that capital M in my code, then the server won't display it when we load it up to the NMU server. Well, now for the image tag. SRC, source equals, within the quotation marks here, I need to be exactly correct. I need to say, we are right here on this image, or index.html page. I need to tell the browser, from here, go inside of the images folder and show this image. So first thing I'm going to type is images slash, means go into the images folder, and then I need to type exactly MOON dash benwilson.jpg. If you don't have that exactly right, then it won't work. We're telling it to go into the images folder, just display that. Alternate text, very important to put in something that will display if the image doesn't show. This is important just in case you have a problem with the images, but also for accessibility for people who can't see the images. So I'll just say full moon. Height and width, I'm going to leave those there for now just so we can see what it does. But we're not going to leave it there for long. So I'm going to hit Control S or Command S to save, and let's check it out in the default browser. There it is. It's tiny and it's squished. That's like no moon I've ever seen. Grommet. So let's go back and find out what happens. Well, it's that height and that width. The original image was not a perfect square, so when I put a height and a width in there, it tried to force it to be a perfect square and made it look all, it ruined the aspect ratio, and that's not good for web design. We don't want any of our images to look weird like that, unless it's part of our kitschy design, but for this class and what we're doing, we're not going to do that. So I'm going to take height and width completely out of there, and then I'm going to hit save. By the way, this is a relative URL or an internal address. I didn't have to write the HTTP everything from scratch. I just say, hey, within this folder, wherever I am, go in and find the images folder. That way, if I move this root folder to an entirely different computer, the web page can still find, or the browser will still be able to find that image as long as I move all this content along with it. Pretty nice, eh? So I've saved it. Let's preview. That's the natural size of the image. Maybe that's a little too big. So what I can do here is come back here and let's just write, say, a height. We know that we just want it, the main thing that we want is that it is only, what do we want it to be? Height equals quotation mark, let's say 500 pixels tall. If all I do is put the height, then it'll keep the aspect ratio and just make the width whatever it needs to be. So I'm going to save that, and let's go back to the browser, and I'm just going to hit the refresh button. So that didn't do much. Maybe my image was already 500 pixels. Let's go with 250 pixels. I'm going to change that. Hit Control S to save, Command S Mac to refresh. There, 250 pixels. That seems to fit. We're having a howling good time working with this moon. One thing here is this height is actually styling that we will eventually want to move over to a CSS page, a CSS sheet. We don't want to mix too much styling in with our content. But since we haven't learned CSS yet, we'll just keep it right there. The other thing to think about is the type of image you use. That's an entirely different conversation, but with a JPEG, if you make it too big, it'll get all pixely looking. So just for fun, I don't even know what's going to happen here. I'm going to put in 2000 pixels for our height. Let's really stretch this. We're stretching it to the outer limits, man. Hit refresh. And that's not looking so nice, is it, anymore? So that's a problem with JPEGs. If the resolution isn't big to begin with, then you can't stretch it too high or too wide. But JPEGs, so what you would need to do is go into Photoshop, for example, and create an image that's meant to be that big if you wanted it to be that big. But we don't want it to be that big, and so the nice thing about having a smaller size image is that it's a smaller file size. I wonder if there is a way, I was just seeing whether we could look to see how big the file size is within here. I don't see it. But you want your JPEGs, any image you use, to be as small file size as possible.